Seaford 6 to 12 is a public state high school established in 1995 and is now built up to enrolment of around 925, and it was from the beginning a purpose-built middle school and senior school. It's situated on the outer southern metropolitan edge of Adelaide, and the demographics are quite varied.
In this video, we aim to show you a number of things. How we engage students across the whole school in their learning through the use of the quality tools and the strategies. We're going to share our whole school approach to building a culture of continuous improvement, show you data that demonstrates we are improving, and share some of the things we learnt along the way.
Assessment and reporting practices have really changed here at Seaford. Students are involved in their learning. They understand the issues and the choices behind the curriculum and their learning. We use quality tools to enhance their learning, and especially use matrices to map the curriculum and track student development, which I believe takes the mystery out of assessment and curriculum.
So this year at the beginning of Year 11 Chem, the teacher came up with these capacity matrices that he handed out to the whole class, and the thing that they do is they show you what knowledge you're up to already and what we're going to learn during the term and the semester. It's like for your personal journey and for the teacher to know where you're at. In this column here, it shows you the main ideas and the structure of what's going to be going on in our lessons for the rest of the semester. And these boxes are actually used to record where you're up to and what your knowledge is and what you're going to do. At the beginning of the term, we actually came in on the first day and had to tick a box of where we actually had known already and what we'd come out with from middle school.
From being in a Year 10 science class going into a Year 11 chemistry class, you really do not know a lot and you don't know what to expect from the course. But with the capacity matrix, you learn to see how far you have gone and what you're going to be doing. And it's interesting to see at the end of the semester what you've really achieved and the journey that you've gone to get there.
Capacity matrices are good because they enforce the school values. It gives the students an opportunity to show honesty, because the only way that you're really going to learn anything is if you really honestly answer the questions, so that way the teacher can teach you what you really do need to know.
In maths, we use the capacity matrices to understand the SACSA outcomes, and an example of that, students analyse and understand the uses and purposes of flips, and we can do that by doing transformations, symmetry, translating and rotating shapes, and these will help us achieve the SACSA outcomes. It helps me work at my own pace to do each one of these. And Mr. Maynard still helps me, but I get to learn and teach myself, and it helps me get a high standard in maths.
It helps me because I feel more organised and in control with my learning, and before I'd be a lot behind with stuff and not understand what I'm doing, but now I can go ahead with work and know exactly what to do.
The matrices have helped me get my work finished on time. Before that, I used to lose stuff and just hand it up late. Basically, the matrices have given me more structure in my work.
There's been an increase in student voice. Originally when I came here, students had very little say in the decision making of the school.
11 will be the topic that you most prefer. You'll assign that with the number 11. Number 10 will be your second preferred choice. Number 3 your third, and number 1 will be the least preferred choice.
0, 0, 11, 7, 0, 2.
So I'd like one person in each group to come out to the whiteboard and write up that most preferred option on the whiteboard, and then we're actually going to make a decision and multi-vote. The red dot goes against that option that you think, yep, out of those 5, that's the one I would really like us to spend some time studying.
I've personally found the tools to be a chance for the students in my class to have an equal vote.
Students have a voice and active input into the systems and processes that immediately affect them.
Basically, there are 20 assignments to choose from. Each of the assignment corresponds with a SACSA outcome.
As a class, we decided that we needed to work out how long we could each have in lesson time to complete this assignment. So we worked out a chart and each student got handed out a blue sticky note that represented the minimum time in lessons that we could have to complete the assignment. And then we got handed out another sticky note, a yellow one, that represented the maximum time we thought we would complete it in. So most people said that 10-week lessons was too long, and most people said that they would have the assignment completed in 8 lessons.
From the loss function chart, where we decided we needed 8 lessons to complete our task, we drew up a timeline of what we thought we needed to have completed by what lesson, with the start, the research, and the completion of research, and the completion of the full assignment, good copies. So instead of doing nothing for just say the first 4 to 6 lessons and completing everything in lesson 8 in a complete rush, we can spread it out, and which will improve our quality of work instead of just writing absolute. Can't really say that, but
it's not about me telling someone to do something. It's about them in control of their own learning and being completely engaged with it, and to be able to take it and run with it, and just the fact that you see them so energised and they know every single step of the way where they should be at that point in time.
So we each designed our own Gantt chart, which is basically our own timeline. So we had the activities in the tasks column, and we chose what activity we would need for how long each lesson. It helps us to organise our own personal time, and so we don't have to rush things, and it makes us more flexible for the time we have.
Coming into education from the corporate background and being unsure of myself at the start, seeing as how I'm a mature-aged teacher and a new teacher at that, it was refreshing to learn that the quality management tools that I'd been using were actually available in education.
For Year 12 tourism, we're doing a Year 12 investigative report, and to brainstorm all the weeks we needed to hand things up, we developed this flowchart here, and that was just talking about have you selected your issue from the student and the teacher helping throughout the weeks that you go down. What secondary sources do you use, like surveys, interviews, stuff like that. And from this chart, we moved on to the Gantt chart. This is easier to follow because it was larger, it had everything listed, and it had the weeks which it was due and the days that it was due. For example, one was developing a hypothesis by the student, and that was started on week 8 on the Monday, and it closed on week 10 on the Thursday. It's helped me because I found it hard to hand things up week by week. I tend to hand things in one big chunk at the end, and this just motivated me to hand up little things as I go, rather than one big assignment at the end and rush it towards the end.
The students themselves become familiar with them, and over time they'll be self-directed learners and using the tools to help them. And the teachers will be just coordinators, I guess, of learning and facilitators.
Using the Gantt chart, we got to plan out our assignment over 5 weeks. First I planned my inquiry question, then I got all my information from library using the internet and stuff, and then I got checked all my info, so make sure none of it was copyrighted and it was all mine. And then I did my final product, and I also finished it 2 weeks early. Normally I hand it in 1 to 2 weeks late, and with the extra time I got to adjust stuff I had to do.
My favourite tool that we used last semester was the flowchart, and we used that at the beginning of assessments with the teacher, and we would all sit around in a group to sort of plan out what was due when, and there's a timeline in it. So in week 2 something will be due, and in week 3 we should have completed this part of the assessment and everything, and then it's got a cast of characters, so it will have what the teacher should do, like introducing the task and the planning process, and then what the students should be doing the lesson after that, so contributing to the matrix and checking for your guidelines and presentation and things like that. So it helps a lot if you're stuck. You can just go to it and look and always ask your teacher for help.
Our class has a flowchart to plan our week's work. Both the teachers and students have steps of what they need to do during the week. On Monday, we plan our task. We do a cover and a rubric sheet. On the days after that, we do our task. On Friday, we do a reflection and hand it up to the teacher.
I actually started my PDSA cycle with my care group this year, not because there was a major issue, but just that I felt there was room for improvement, and that's what it's all about. It's about improvement.
The question is, what do you think needs improvement in our class? First, we got sticky notes and we wrote down what needs improvement. We grouped them all and then put them in categories. We found out that behaviour is the one that we need improvement in our class.
After collecting the categories from the brainstorm and affinity diagram, we then put the groups into the interrelationship diagraph. This helps us identify the major problems in our class.
From the interrelationship diagraph, we got teachers and lessons as two of our main problems. So we did a plus delta for each of them.
Learning about the quality learning tools doesn't actually take that long to do, and once you actually put it into the classroom, it's not as though you're teaching the students about it. What you're doing is you are being the facilitator, and it's actually then student led and student run and student monitored. So really the workload is actually less than what it would be if you were doing the traditional teaching.
The first thing that we do at the start of a school year is that we get everybody on board with our school vision and values.
One of the most significant things that's happened recently in the last couple of years was that the students and the whole school worked on the school values, what we perceive to be the school values, and more importantly, what the students perceive to be the school values.
It's not just words that they've put on a piece of paper. It's not just, well, let's waste a couple of days in doing this. It's just something that they truly believe and want to carry forward.
A really important factor has been a commitment to addressing those structural issues which really impinge on student learning and student performance.
I've been at Seaford 6 to 12 school for 6 years. The first year was a different leadership structure to what we now have. We now have a much more flattened and, might I say, equal leadership structure.
Each person is responsible for a key strategic area of the school, and that cuts across all year levels and all aspects of the school. And then that leadership team work as a team together collectively to achieve the outcomes for the school.
We're always looking at ways to support in a very positive way the staff in the school.
These program managers are now a lot more accessible to the staff, and so I guess as a teacher I don't feel so scared to approach someone in leadership if I have a certain issue that needs to be sorted through or I want some support in some format.
The second thing that we all do as a leadership team, at every opportunity we will model the systems approach.
The leadership's knowledge of quality tools and their applications, I believe, is quite substantial. They're always available to mentor and work with staff about the applications of these quality tools, which can then be transferred directly to the classroom so that staff may work with students.
Seaford 6 to 12 has taken on a strong role in leading the bringing of David Langford to South Australia along with the Quality Learning Australia people. As a consequence, improvement across our district is evident.
We provide quality training and development at the beginning of the year for any new staff in the quality tools.
By 2/3 of the way through the first semester, I'd clocked up 57.5 hours, and I didn't really notice the time going, and there were lots of other training in the school that I really wanted to be on, but I couldn't fit it in, yeah.
We do a lot of professional development as a whole staff. We all get together and often Mary or another member of the leadership will talk to us about what we're doing and how that relates to what our plan is for the school and what our objectives are. everyone gets the same message because we do the same professional development, and then we always get a chance to come back and reflect on the training that we've done and how we can put that into practice and how we can use that to improve what we're doing.
There's many aspects that staff can be active in, such as the communities of practice.
Groups of teachers who have a common passion get together, and you get the opportunity to exchange experience and ideas.
For the first time probably ever in my teaching career, which is quite long, staff could actually sit down and have professional dialogue.
All of our communities of practice are based around our site learning plans, so we're working towards a clear objective when we're in those communities of practice.
We've moved from putting out spot fires to a far more strategic and proactive way of supporting our staff and our students.
There's been a commitment to not blame students for their poor performance, so not to accept statements like, well, what could you expect? They're just a student from Seaford, you know, they're not going to be great or whatever.
You're given the opportunity to grow and to try new things, and if they don't work, that's not a problem. You just alter it, and then you've always got people supporting you, and you've always got people that you can talk to, which is fantastic.
If you make a mistake, there's no criticism at the end. It's like, well, you've done that, learn from it, let's keep moving.
It's also a culture of lifelong learning, that you keep learning and you keep improving your practice, and that doesn't stop, and it doesn't matter whether you've been teaching for 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, you're still continually improving your practice.
I was an acting line manager in 2002, and there was a real middle school versus senior school atmosphere, and at times it was quite hostile.
The principal and her leaders trust us and let us go with it, whereas before it was almost like we had to be controlled.
Staff are less disgruntled, more optimistic, and really get on with the job of teaching.
You just walk in, you're made to feel welcome. I need to see so-and-so. Well, yep, no worries. Or I need to just deliver a message. Yep, we can do that for you. It's can do, not don't want to do.
We've set up a radar chart after a Quality Learning Australia seminar. It holds all of our important data sets. It's actually a one-page summary of school performance. What that data is telling us is that there have been significant improvements in our school over the last 5 years. We've had 30% improved retention rates, and in particular our boys' retention has improved. We've had 65% decreased student management issues over the last 4 or 5 years. We've had a 10 to 12% improvement across all aspects of our social outcomes data when we measure the well-being of our students. We've had 8 to 12% improvement in what our parents think about our school. We've had a 5 to 19% improvement in the academic achievement across many of the learning areas. We've had a 29% to a 70% improvement in positive reinforcement from staff for our students. This is the feedback our students have given us over the last 2 years. Our staff psychological health data tells us that we've had a 12 to 20% improvement in all of the aspects in that particular survey.
I see the school as constantly moving, constantly changing. They're up to date with the curriculum, they're up to date, you know, they're always striving to better their educational goals, etc.
Our teacher has trust in us and we have trust in him, and he helps us when we need it and we help him when he needs it.
You see conversations in the classroom, you see people moving and working with other people, you see people looking at their Gantt charts and seeing how long they've got to go until something's due. You have people looking at the consensogram that they have on the wall to see exactly how dedicated they are to a task. There's lots of stuff moving and interacting in the classroom. It's very busy and it's very exciting.
It makes a difference to school organisation and management. It makes a difference to curriculum development. It makes a difference to kids' learning, and above all, it makes a difference to teacher satisfaction.
Where to next for Seaford 6 to 12 school? Firstly, building capacity in the broader education community. By this I mean the appointment of 10 staff as District Quality Learning Consultants, where they get to share and work alongside teachers from our own school and from our district schools and preschools. Secondly, embedding the quality learning principles in our daily practice by continuously asking hard questions like, are we using data? Are our students truly assessing their own work and learning from that? Are we involving students genuinely in the decision making of our school developments and improvements? Thirdly, we'll continue to build a learning organisation. The communities of practice bring the whole school together, and the professional learning that our staff engage in are very inquiry based. We'll also continue to focus on the child as a whole, and will continue to provide high-level, ongoing training and development. And lastly, sustainability. Leadership will continue to model quality learning. We will also continue to let the data drive improvement and celebrate our successes.